What's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Fight Inside Podcast. I'm your co-host for today, Raine Cruz, aka Ringside Raine, and with me, as always, Timmy B. Today, we will talk to one of my friends from Up Next Fighting, discuss Ronda Rousey, Logan Paul, and many more. So, what are we waiting for? Tim, hit it! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fight Inside Podcast.
That was the best intro I've ever had, Ringside Raine. Thank you so much. Guys, today our podcast is going to go a little bit differently. We had a guest all lined up. They unfortunately had something happen. My good friend Ringside Raine, who we just met 2 weeks ago, is now my co-host. And she recommended someone. She says, hey, if you need someone, go check out this guy. He is awesome. He is a amateur fighter born in Brooklyn, New York City, grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey, College of University of Miami, training MMA for 4 years. He's full-time doing it as of last year. His home gym is Legacy, Los Angeles. He's fought 3 times so far. His fighting style is freestyle and kung fu. We are very lucky to have him on the podcast. Short notice. This is going to be a great one. Ringside Raine, please welcome to the podcast
Khaleel Pearson, a.k.a. Luscious Gordo!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Khaleel, how are you, my friend?
Feeling great. Feeling great.
Good, man. Thanks so much for joining the podcast. Like I said, last minute, so I appreciate you coming on so much. I did try to promo you already on our Instagram. This comes out Thursday, so people will have some time to get to know you. But who is Mr. Khaleel Pearson?
I feel like I'm a pretty interesting guy. You know, I love fighting. I love dogs. I love good time. I love entertainment. And I love what I've been able to do this past year. It's been an awesome time.
Yeah, you fought 3 times already this year. I was looking at your record, right? So you've gone in hard, getting the fights under your belt. How's that going? And why start now? What happened in your life that you began to start now?
It's been awesome to try to speed track my way to getting experience. I started training about 4 years ago. 2020 kind of threw everything off for a little bit, you know, whether it was fighting, whether it was getting to the gym, whether it was wearing masks in the gym. So I also had a few injuries that year. So I just spent time getting back in shape. Last year, I saw the opportunity where I could just train for a camp, 5 months. I signed up for this Alta program and it said I could get a fight after 5 months. So I immediately signed up. Literally 2 a.m. in the morning, I see it. I see Daniel Cormier is giving the intro on the program, and I immediately sign up. I think I started the next week. I was still working at the time. I worked in cannabis for a long time, and I feel like life kind of guides us, right? Like whenever one door is closing, another one's opening up. So my cannabis job, I think our office was closing and moving to the IE area, and I'm in LA. So that was going to be a big move for me. You know, I'd been working for the company for a while and I had just started the Alta program training for 2 weeks and I had to make a choice, you know. Cannabis was just something I was in for 15 years or something that I literally have had this passion for 4 years. I've been telling people for literally 4 years, like, I'm going to get a fight, like whatever I have to do. So I made the choice that, you know, I followed my heart and it's brought me here. It's been awesome. I've been manifesting along the way and just going for the ride.
That's crazy.
Oh.
Raine, that's exactly like
something, right?
That's exactly like what you were talking about, Raine, when you were on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about when one door closes, another one opens, your path, it will guide you.
Yeah.
Gotta trust it. Gotta trust it.
You have that. Yeah. When you trust that path. Khaleel, how does it feel that when you finally, you know, what you manifested actually came true?
It's been beautiful, especially with my last fight. Before my first fight, I had been trying to get on I've been talking to my teammate about possibly getting on a card together. I love the guy. He had been putting in hours with me, helping me train, getting me prepared for my first fight. So it was really important for us, you know, to make it happen. So to finally get it, to be in our corner together, to be in the backstage together, to be training together, preparing, to be cutting together. it was such an experience, you know. It's a bonding moment. And like we were saying, it's just life, you know. It's a direction. So when you trust it, you're always doing it, no matter whether it's MMA, whether it's your love life, whether it's how you eat your food, whether it's how you sleep at night. It's just, you're just following how you're being guided. So, you know, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's good, man. So when is your next fight coming up? I think you were saying possibly end of year.
Yes. So I had a fight in May. That was a little quick for me because I was coming back from a hand injury. I had got knocked out, unfortunately. I went up in size. I was weighing around 165 pounds, and I agreed to let my opponent come in at 175 pounds. So him coming into the cage, probably 190 pounds, kind of caught me off guard. So when I got clipped, you know, it really caught me off guard. So I was, you know, a little bit of ego. You know, I was eager to get back in the cage, but I feel like in my camp, I wasn't doing the right things necessary to keep myself safe coming off of that KO. So I was only cleared for about maybe 6 days going into the fight in July. But like I said, it was really important for me to get on the card with my teammate. I feel like that was more important. Like whatever happened, win or lose. I also had a very good matchup for me. So, you know, I was really excited about that. And it didn't go my way, you know. So I feel like it's important for me now to heal, to get better, to rest, have some more time to, you know, work on technique and, you know, make sure my chin's good, you know. I'm pretty, you know, I can't be out there getting hurt. You know, I don't bleed, I don't get black eyes, but I get clipped. I don't know what's going on. So, you know, I got to figure some things out.
It's funny because, I mean, the thing about it is you're in your amateur career right now. So there's time, you know, like you don't want to lose and stuff like that, but you've got time. You've got time to grow and get those experiences, right? And figure out everything so that as you progress to the professional career that you're destined for, it all lines up, right? You go, okay, I've learned about this, I've learned from that. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk later about Ronda Rousey. I mean, to me, it's like once she lost, she couldn't figure out how to get back on track. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing. And you see that happen, right? Like you see people with a loss and then they're never the same. They just can't figure it out.
I was thinking about that earlier today where it's been awesome. I feel like it's going to be better for me long-term to have these losses now than later on in life, because like you said, I'm going through it. You get to see how I jump back, how I react, see how I handle losses and adversity. And I love it. I love that shit. That's literally my bread and butter, you know, since I was a kid. So, rather now than later, experience is key. I love fighting, you know, good fighters. You know, I've been fighting people that have more experience than me every fight. I've been getting in there undersized. I fought at 170, 175 once, and I literally couldn't even bulk up to that size. So, you know, I'm taking on bigger opponents. I'm with the shit, short notice. I don't care. You know, I'm with the smoke. So, you know, I love this journey. I love to take it step by step. I love to make mistakes, you know, like it's a part of the process. So I'm owning it.
Yeah. You know, I'll kind of jump to a fellow UNF individual, just like you two, Ashley Evans Smith. She's coming back this weekend at UFC to fight after 2+ years layoff, spinal surgery. She was on our podcast before, so she'll tell you she's had other surgeries, cosmetic surgeries, right? Like, so she's gone through different things, coming back after 2 years. She's a friend of the podcast. I really like her. I've always been a fan of hers, a fan of her podcast. She does a great podcast, Sex and Violence. She's inspired me to do this one. I'm nervous for her. In all reality, I am nervous because 2 years away. What do you think about that, Khaleel? Like, for when someone is away for that long, the game is changing. You know, obviously we want her to win. We're all UNF fans here. We're all team Ashley Evans Smith, Rebel Girl for sure. But what do you think about that? How do you think she has to prepare to be able to win that fight?
I think just like you said, the game has changed. It's the fastest growing sport. So, you know, you see new prospects coming in with new talent, coming in able to trump old styles. But I do think that time off is key. You just get better with time. You get to relax. You get to heal from your surgeries or injuries. You get to get comfortable again with your body. And everyone's clock is different, you know. I've had injuries where I was able to bounce back after a month or so. And I've had injuries where I literally was lost for a year, 2 years, you know, where I couldn't figure it out until that moment. So, I mean, if she's ready to get back in, you know, I wish her good luck. I think she'll perform well. I've seen her fight. She has a great attitude. She studies the game. Even though she was cheering for my last opponent when I was in the cage, you know, I still wish her the best of luck. You know,
I did not know about that, Khaleel.
I'm honestly, all jokes. I love it. I don't mind. You know, we're all. It's a small world, you know. So and it's politics. It's a small industry. You know, we're all at UNF, so I don't mind. I personally don't need anyone to root for me or be in my corner. I just love how passionate they are about the sport and what they do. So as long as she's doing that and she's fighting, competing, my hat off to her. Seriously, I wish her the best of luck.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on to some other topics, Khaleel, just one more thing about you, my friend. When I was looking at your Instagram and stuff, I saw you had some pretty cool tattoos. I did want to ask though, you had the musical notes with the stars. Oh, hold on. He may have
Yes. Sorry about that.
No,
sorry about that. I got excited.
For those on audio only, he just threw his phone across the floor. So
literally, so excited. I was about to rip my shirt up.
Yeah, musical notes with the little stars on it. What's that?
So I've been a piano player since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
I started playing professionally jazz piano when I was 11. I used to play in different bands. I toured around for a while. So when I was younger, my parents always wanted me to do music, but I was always the athlete. I was the hooper. I was the swimmer, the lifeguard. But I did enjoy playing piano. I feel like it's a big part of me. So my senior year of high school, I had a knee injury in my college showcase, right? And I was planning on going to college for basketball. So when that happened, I didn't want to spend an extra year in high school. I was paying private school $30,000 a year. It was all this madness. So it was like music was right there for me. Like I was saying earlier, life has its way of closing one door and opening another. So I easily got into every college I applied to. I got a scholarship down to University of Miami. So at that time, I didn't have any tattoos, but I always knew music was a big part of me. I knew I didn't want to play forever. That's why I went for music business as well. But I knew that there was something special about when I played that connected me to it. And I always felt like it was coming out of me, like literally coming, like pouring out of me, this style. I was so different, just like even in MMA. I'm awkward. I'm unorthodox, you know, and I feel like the same thing in music. And I don't know why the star thing became very popular, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, something different. You know, everybody gets the music notes. Everyone gets the music notes with the star. And I also got it reversed. So normally the clef is supposed to be going this way, but I got it like it's coming out of me, like literally someone inside of me is doing it. So I don't know. I went to University of Miami for jazz piano and music business, and that's when I got it. It was a time where I was locked in. I was working for a music label at the time. I thought that's what I wanted to do, even though I wasn't completely happy. But like I said, it's just been coming out of me, you know, like we're not in control. We think we're in control, but we're really not in control. So, you know, I just go with the flow, seriously. And this was one of those things.
Raine, for a guy that did not prep at all for this interview.
I know, right?
And for a guest that came in last minute, this has been pretty awesome already. Like
I trained this morning too, guys. I trained for 3 hours this morning, and I also didn't get much sleep for like the first time. So yeah, man, this is me. You know, I'll try to be my authentic self.
Yeah. No, I'm so happy that we've met you. Raine, before we get on with some of the stuff that happened at UFC 290 and some other stuff, is there anything else that you wanted to ask Khaleel?
So I have two questions for you. One, so you're born and raised in Brooklyn, right? And then you moved to New Jersey, and then now you call California home. How often do you go back home?
So when I first moved out here about 5 years ago, I would go back pretty often, whether it be for work, visit friends, you know, every few months. I was very freelance where I was able to do that. Then it kind of slowed down where it would be like once a year where I'd go. And then last May, I went home for my nephew's birthday, you know, got to see the nieces and nephews get big. And I actually just went back before my last fight to see family, and I wanted to also check out some other gyms. I wanted to kind of prep myself to get in that mindset of, you know, just like when you're walking into the cage, when you have people cheering against you, going out for your head, where you can just walk in, you know, stay calm, keep your composure, and perform. So once a year, I'd say, you know, I love my parents. I love the East Coast, but I'm a warm weather guy. You know, I went to school in Miami. So after that, it was like, how can I go back to the cold, you know?
You're talking to a guy that's in Toronto, Canada, Khaleel. I hate it here. It's the worst.
My God.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got the women out there, so.
I'm a married man, Khaleel, happily married man. So I got the best woman. I got the best woman.
See, there you go, right there. Save them for me, right?
It's just leftovers now for everybody else. That's it. There's nothing good. I got the best. That's it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Better for me.
Yeah. Just don't come in the winter. And Raine, you had one more thing you want to ask?
Oh, yeah. So when you talked about, you know, sometimes like prepping for fights, you're walking down that, you know, ramp to get to the cage. And when you hear, you know, the crowd, like if somehow they're against you, and now that you mentioned you have your music background, do you sometimes like think of like music, you know, and kind of start composing music in your head to kind of help you calm down?
All the time. I tell my guys, especially before my last fight, that I need them to tell me a song before I even walk into the cage. You see me walking out, I always find my rhythm. I think that's extremely important. But when I'm in there, especially when we're used to training with music and having rhythm, so you're always able to catch a beat or a song, you have to have a song in there. You have to have some type of rhythm, be dancing. I'm always screaming dance. And then on top of that, as a musician, as a piano player, I play in the background a lot. So I'm always accompanying other instruments. So you have to have an ear. You always have to listen. It's always engaging, you know? So I feel like I literally hear everything. As soon as I like walk into the arena, I hear the guy in the back. I hear the announcer talking. I hear everything. So I'm locked in, you know, and flowing at the same time where it feels comfortable.
I love that you said that you're flowing. Just want to let you know, Tim, he's one of the guys that when I announce him, he gets in the moment. And like, I see him like doing this when I'm announcing his name. So that helps me too, to kind of feel his vibe. And I'm like, oh God, like he likes the way I announce his name. And so
we're locked in.
Yeah. I like that moment with like, you know, the person I'm announcing. Cause to me, it's like, I really like to push them over. And when I feel like they feel my energy, it's like, oh man, to me, that's like, I did my job.
Yeah. So every piece is so important. No, thank you. And I'm so happy that I was your first MMA fight too. I thought that was really special. So we shared an awesome moment.
Very nice.
Seriously.
No, it's very nice. And it is cool because like with Khaleel being the performer at heart and through music, and then Raine with you, with your professional wrestling background, having that performance as well, right? Like that's where you guys have that kind of commonality as well, right? It's the performance. It's the energy that you guys
I didn't even know.
I'm not a wrestler, but I announce in wrestling. But
okay, I was like, yo, Dina's like everything.
No. You give her a second.
I did see that.
No, she will RKO you through the mat. You piss her off. It's over.
We can't see me.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
All right. So speaking of drama in the cage, let's talk about, and I'm glad that you're here, Khaleel, because I wasn't going to talk about this with our planned guest. Our planned guest, who will be so next week our guest is going to come. Next week our guest is going to be legendary MMA announcer TJ DeSantis. He's the guy that announced for Invicta for years and years and years. Solid voice, man. So he's going to be on the podcast next week. So we apologize for that this week, but hey, this podcast is great. And like I said, because he's a professional announcer, I don't think I could have talked to him about what happened with Israel Adesanya. I feel like I don't know how media is going to take to it and what happened. Everybody on the planet
they gotta play the high road, you know. They gotta play kind of high road. Or
I don't know, man, because there's been some announcers and stuff like that have taken some low roads, like when John Anik goes off on Colby Covington stuff. I've taken some issue with stuff like that. Like some commentators, I feel like you should stay in your commentating role. I don't know that you should bring personal stuff into it. Just recently, Bruce Buffer went off on Sean Strickland. I don't know if you saw that this weekend. He started talking crap on Sean Strickland, which I thought was weird.
No.
Yeah.
I love Sean Strickland too. Wow.
Me too, man. I love Sean. We've had some beefs online with Sean Strickland and me because I'm friends with Commander Dale Brown, from Dust. Do you know that guy? The guy that does the security stuff? Yeah, so I'm friends with him. He's been on the podcast a few times, but him and Sean have had some fights. Like Sean keeps challenging him to a fight to the death in the middle of a desert. So I got to back up my friend Commander Dale, man. Anyways, okay.
Oh man!
If you did not watch UFC 290, if you don't know the history behind DDP, Dricus du Plessis, and Stylebender Israel Adesanya, there's drama there that obviously we all know, but I'm going to play a very brief clip of what happened at the end of DDP's fight. Izzy comes in, and this is kind of just the beginning-ish of it.
And absolutely, this man...
That's what it is. It's an easy fight. It's easy money. I manifested this. I said I was going to have this moment, and I know I'm going to have this moment. Look at me. Hey, stare off. Just saying. Look at me. Come here.
Crowd started booing. I think they were booing Israel Adesanya. Izzy then goes off on several expletives. Like he starts saying a bunch of stuff. They go to Dana White and they say, "What do you think about that?" And Dana's like, "What do you think about what? What's racial?" Like Dana played almost like he didn't even understand what the hell was going on. Khaleel, I'll go to you first. What did you think about the whole Israel going into the cage thing and what he was saying and the energy and aggression that he brought in?
Well, first, since the WWE took over, I mean, the face-off thing has been big, and I do think it draws energy because as a kid, I was a big fan of wrestling. So, I think it kind of gives the people what they want a little bit. It's tough to bring someone in right after someone just won. I think that's the tough part. Du Plessis trying to ride that win. He's, trying to figure out how to feel after beating Rob. And, then he immediately has to see Izzy. So then Izzy comes and hits him with the one thing that probably no one expected. I didn't even expect it, and, he literally just goes off, I like Izzy. He gets a lot of shit because they say he's very cringy. But after his last celebration, everybody was on him, with the everybody, that was one of the best celebrations we've ever seen. And for him to come, I feel like it was a little much, He could have done it a way smoother. It could have been cool. It could have been funny. He could have did it in a slightly humorous way, but it was kind of a mix between my brother and then I'm trying it was slightly friendly but kind of beefish at the same time. So unnecessary, you can't. I was watching one of your interviews with Bobby Green because I fucking love Bobby Green. He's in my top 5, where he says you can't fight hate with hate,
Yeah.
When people hit you with hate, you got to fight it with love. And I feel like there's just been a weird undertone where du Plessis said whatever about Izzy, and then Izzy's coming back with hate, and then it's just this weird. But if you're really like that, you know how to play the game. You know how to say things that hurt, but they're undertone. You don't really come out and have to scream in someone's face to get your point across. So but I'll say all that to say one last thing. It was hilarious because, like I said in the DDP interview after, he was like, I was ready for whatever he was, whatever Izzy was going to say, I was prepared for it. And I'm like, man, that was probably the one thing that he wasn't prepared for. But yeah.
Yeah. Cause now, okay. So yeah. Cause what do you do now?
Yeah.
It's funny you say hate with, combat hate with love, right? Because in truth, if you go back and watch where this all came from with that thing, I'm of the side that I don't think that DDP said anything that wrong initially. And then Izzy took it really racial, really, historical, racial, whatever. Izzy seems to be trumping that up. You never hear DDP say anything about it. And when they approach him on it, he's just kind of confused. He's like, I was born and raised in South Africa, right? And like, so he's kind of, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Even in that altercation at the end, he just walks away. Like, he doesn't even engage because he's just like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here. And anything I do might be taken wrong. So see you later. And he just walks off. I mean,
he took the high road. That's what you're supposed to do. And especially after you have that dump, after, like, you don't even know how to feel. He just beat Whitaker after everyone counted him out. And it's like he has this awkward moment where, and at the same time, I actually bet that Duplessis was going to win. So shout out to my Discord group. So we were let's go.
Hey, I want a pretty
surprise.
I want a pretty sweet parlay because I had DDP, Lawler, and Pantoja.
Oh.
Cashed in, baby. Cashed in. I was happy. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Khaleel.
So it was a tough situation. I feel like Duplessis, he's a nice guy. He's South African. You can't be mad. But I feel like there's always just been this undermining tone of, that we probably don't even understand because we're not even from Africa, Like, maybe this happens more often than we know. Mm-hmm. And I actually respect Duplessis because it's like like I said, when you're good at this game of MMA, like, you don't have to be Colby Covington, you don't have to be fully on that side, but you can say things that are small, that are jabs, like we're in the fighting game, so you can take a small jab at someone and it might not touch them, but you still threw a slight jab to kind of stir up the pot a little bit, and I feel like that's healthy. That's what the business is for. You're supposed to do that. So. Izzy taking it a little bit, like I said, he's called the cringiest fighter, I guess, for a reason. Oh, a tough one, a tough one. Because he just came from the celebration that we all loved. And
I know, but remember too, and I have to remind people, after he did that celebration on his last fight, and Raine, I don't know if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, like the bone arrow.
Mm-hmm. Remember, after he does that, he goes off and mocks Alex Pereira's kid, right? Which was, I don't know. Do you know about that, Raine? What he did to the kid?
Actually, that part, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the bill thing.
So after he does the bow and arrow thing, which is really cool. Okay, fine. It's pretty cool. Then he goes over, finds Alex Pereira's kid after he knocks out his dad and then mocks the kid. Oh. Exactly the way the kid had mocked him like a decade ago. But the kid was a 3-year-old kid at the time. So you've been holding on to this anger against this child. And it's like, that was so awkward. And then he goes off and gives a beautiful speech. So he's like sandwiching this cringiness between great stuff. But then, this weekend at UFC 290 comes off and does this. The crowd was booing pretty big. Then
he's petty. He's a petty guy. You can tell. You can see it.
Yeah, and it's tough, So, the question is, and it's funny because you were saying about WWE and the merger there, and so now we're seeing more face-offs. Mm-hmm. Raine, do you think, like, with UFC being owned by now a greater conglomerate, isn't there like a risk that this organization is going to say, yo, you got to shut this crap down? You can't be having these people do this. These are professional athletes. This isn't the WWE, which we wouldn't allow it there either.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I saw what happened this past Saturday, I got that vibe of like, are they trying to like promote like the next match? Like, it was like a WWE vibe to me. Although, obviously they're not going to use that type of language, right?
Yeah.
But to me, I felt like, okay, are we trying to sell this, too much? But on the other hand, this is not like a scripted, storyline too. It's not like, there was a script writer who wrote this and gave him the script and like, hey, after this match, do your thing.
It would have been a pretty easy script. They just give him one word. just need you to repeat this like 100 times.
That is. But you know what I'm saying? I think. I've told my friend this before that, I feel like with WWE and UFC, kind of working together now, the thing that I did not want to lose on the UFC side is like the authenticness of like, the authenticity of like the matches, the fights, because we already know WWE is scripted. I don't want that, in the MMA scene. And this is why I fell in love with MMA, because like to me, it's like I don't know what's gonna happen. Everything is like up in the air. And towards the end, I see like the respect, between the fighters. And I really, really love that. So seeing what happened this past Saturday, it was kind of like a turnoff for me. Does it make it, a fight that people would want to see? Yeah, because now we're like, okay, I want to know who's going to win between these two, right? But for the most part, I don't want to lose that authentic side of MMA. And if we promote it too much, I don't want it to be like kind of WWE style we're in. It's like we're just trying to oversell this match.
Yeah, but let's assume that was not scripted at all. That's just him going off. Khaleel, as an up-and-coming professional, don't you think that like that's not probably the best way to promote your fight, to go that hard in a world like we are today, so divided and stuff like that? Like, what is that going to do? Like, I could see potentially like people in the crowd start turning on one another, because if one guy starts to cheer one aspect of that and another guy is diametrically opposed to that, like you can be causing a lot of division amongst people. This isn't just a fight between you two. You're creating like political strife. You know what I mean?
Then also the market. Strife. I don't mean to interrupt, but we see that Dana is very big on attacking markets now. We see that's what he's been talking about with, we had 3 Mexican champs. He kept talking about how he was trying to come at that market. So maybe this is another one of these weird schemes to stir up. Nothing sells and gets more clickbait than stuff that people don't agree with and stuff that cause controversy. And that's just been proven. So you have controversy from 2 people from a country. You have all these new South African fighters. You have Izzy, where he's from, and it might be them trying to target another market. Everything's about money, and everything's about business. So the WWE.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was like, "Are you talking?"
No. My phone went off. I apologize.
It's okay. I just think everything is a business. So, as cringy and as terrible as that was, I think that. I see the idea that they had. It just wasn't executed well at all. It was just.
But you guys are both acting. But you guys are both acting like you think like this was somewhat not staged, but encouraged. I feel like he just went off on his own.
I feel like it's kind of staged. I mean, him.
Yeah, Dana even said after.
What's that? Sorry, go for it.
Go ahead, Khaleel.
I'm sorry, my service.
No, I think he's on a slight delay. That's why. Right? Yeah, we got you, Khaleel. Go ahead.
I can hear you.
I forgot my point.
saying whether or not saying that we don't think it's staged. It's not staged, right? This is.
Dana even said after that, when they talked about it, that Izzy said that he wasn't going to do anything crazy, and I guess in his head that means like physical, because we have seen that in the past where. People start putting hands on each other, Connor's attacking the bus, whatever it is. But, you can just tell this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to boost this. Like even the Bulk and Temporia, just like how they're trying to create that energy. And I feel like Bulk handled that so well after the fight. He was so chill, good energy right after a win. It's like, why, you don't even need to engage in the negative energy. You just won. Like you take the higher road and leave. So, it's just
I'm just against like the whole racial undertone thing because I feel like that's just not good for our world. And I'd encourage people to look into it. Like you said, Khaleel, I have no understanding of the whole South Africa thing and what this all means. Like obviously there's colonization aspects and things like that. I don't understand. I don't know the history of it. I tried to kind of look it up. I couldn't really figure it out. But all I know is that DDP was born and raised there. So, I mean, he's born and raised there. Raine, we talked when you came on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, you're born and raised in the Philippines. That would be like you here now winning the title and then saying, I'm going to take it back to the Philippines. And then someone saying, well, you're not Filipino.
Yeah.
Like, well, wait a second. I kind of am, right? And then why would you, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. Like, who cares what country you want to affiliate yourself with or whatever? I mean, he's not affiliating it for a negative purpose. And then,
but brother, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I'm telling you, the biggest thing now is controversy sells. We've seen all these bad decisions happening where people don't agree. You have everyone on the internet going crazy. They're blatant. You know, some of these things have been pretty blatant. So, you know, you just add one more thing in the pot to stir things up, controversy, to get the internet going crazy, to get the comment sections going crazy. And
but this is just not. But this is just not the thing that you want to do. Like, I just feel like this is not the thing you want to do. Remember, and this is what one of the big arguments I was having with someone online this morning about it, because I was saying like, I don't think that's the greatest, and they're like, screw this, and I'm trying to read it as I look at it, but like words, culture, customs, it's all fair game, blah blah blah. This guy's going off on me, right? And I said, okay, but remember, the UFC has banned country flags. You're not allowed to carry your country's flag since May of 2022, May of last year. They banned country flags.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that. So they banned, you can't carry your country flag anymore. And that was because there were like some conflicts around the globe and blah, blah. And they didn't want people carrying in flags. So if the UFC is willing to take that stance and say, okay, you can't carry your country flag, I feel like it's not a far stretch to go, hey, can you lay off this a little bit? You know?
Yeah, you can tell Dana wasn't expecting all of that, especially like you said, with his, like the way he was trying to play it off was so terrible after the fight.
Oblivious.
The guy kept repeating the question too, and it's like, come on, like it's an obvious thing, like just answer it, and he didn't want to do it. You know, it's a tough one for the sport.
It really is. It's tough because you don't like to see it. You want, I mean, again, because you're a professional athlete, Khaleel, right? Like, when you become a professional athlete, there is certain expectations people are going to have upon you. And again, WME or Endeavor, who, you know, this conglomeration now that owns, this is a money-making business for them. They just spent like billions of dollars on this thing. They don't need it to be embroiled in racial issues. You know, create your fights, create your drama, whatever you want to do. But you might want to stay away from certain topics, I would think. But we'll see what happens with this fight. I mean, this fight's bound to happen, though, right? Khaleel, early picks, Izzy versus DDP. Who you got?
I mean, I'll take Izzy just off the experience factor. That first rematch with Pereira, I knew he was going to lose just because of the size. Alex came in huge that fight. And I feel like Izzy, you know, he still had his moments to win. But I do think Izzy has better grappling than we all give him credit for. You know, we see Bolt come out and we see his game plan kind of change in his performance against Yair. So I'm hoping that, you know, if Duplessis does try to grapple him, he is prepared for that. But I mean, if Duplessis is like plus 400, I would still put my money on Duplessis just because you never know what to expect. I feel like he's the type of fighter like me where we're awkward. You don't know what to expect every fight. You think we have a certain style, but we really don't. We just are able to take advantage of other people's mistakes. And I feel like there's great value on Duplessis, seriously.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing what he did to Rob.
Yeah. No, he's great. Raine, DDP versus Izzy. Who you got?
Oh, I feel like Adesanya might win, but I personally would want DDP to win.
Yeah. I think it's better for the children that DDP wins. But I will say that my early bet right now is DDP. I think that Izzy, if he continues along this path, is going to be way too emotional. I think he's going to really lose it. And if DDP can maintain his composure, that's some of the best stuff you can do, Khaleel. Like that's some of the best stuff you can do when you have an opponent who's extremely emotional. If you can give them nothing back, like what DDP did, where he just stares into the air, he wouldn't even look at him in the eyes. You're not giving him anything. That pisses them off so much more, and they lose it because they're not getting the reaction that they want. So we'll see about that. I think it's a very interesting thing, but we'll see what happens. I think if Dana, here's another prediction: if Dana continues to not realize what the hell is going on. I really think his job is in trouble too, because remember, he's a contracted employee at this point. I don't think you can just have this company blailing around with racial problems and not deal with it. I think he has to deal with it. Like, it's almost impossible.
And you got to keep if you're running the ship, you got to keep everyone in line. You got to keep the boat rocking a certain way. So by his response, it just wasn't a good one.
No, it's like Connor stuff, right? Like, you've got to draw the line in the sand somewhere. Otherwise, other people are going to start to do it, right? Like, you don't need. I mean, what happens if the next guy comes in, gives a speech like Izzy did? You're just going to be like, okay, cool, next one. Like, you can't have that over and over. So, I mean, you got to do something. But anyways, we'll see. But thanks for breaking it down. I did want to get to just a couple more things before we get going. First one is with the women's bantamweight division. Amanda Nunes retires. The title is up for grabs. And we get word that this lady might be coming back. Ringside Raine. That's your girl. That's your WWE. Apparently, she has given WWE notice. We're talking about Ronda Rousey. She's given WWE notice saying she has an end date. She is done. I think it's before WrestleMania next year. So she's under a year left. And they're saying that she come back to UFC to fight. We've already talked about her today, saying that she's kind of not the same. The game is changing, Khaleel. It already changed by the time she got her 2 whoopings. Khaleel, does Ronda Rousey come back?
Everything is about money. I do think that everyone that has been in the game and sees where the game has evolved to wants a piece of it, especially if they help build it like Ronda. Yeah. She literally paved the way for all the women's divisions and women fighters. So I do think she comes back and gets a fight. She'll probably get a favorable fight. She'll probably win, I think experience goes a long way, I feel like she's probably still healthy, and I feel like she's probably still been working on her game. She sees what's going on out there. She sees what people are up to. I'm sure people are still contacting her, wanting to work with her, wanting to get her back in the cage. So, I think it's going to be exciting. I remember back in the day when I used to go to bars and be ready to see Ronda Rousey fight. It's crazy,
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Raine, you're in the wrestling world. Without revealing too much, how long before Ronda Rousey will be able to pass a USADA P test?
Oh, God.
I'm not saying this in a bad way, but look, wrestling is a crazy thing. It's going to take massive tolls on your body with injuries and whatever. If she can be taking anything she wants right now, right? Like, not in a bad way, but just to heal her body and keep her body functioning for what she has to do. No?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I feel like with Ronda Rousey, I feel like she did WWE mostly, for the experience. And I guess also I agree with what Khaleel said earlier. It's always about the money. It's a payday. And for me, I've seen her in the WWE. I feel like she kind of stayed the same, like, since she started and now.
You mean physically, right? Like,
physically.
Yeah. She's not juicing up. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, maybe she reached that point wherein she realized this is not really the competition that she really wants to be a part of anymore. She basically tried it and felt like, okay, not for me anymore. Yeah. And if UFC knocks at her door again, and again, if the price is right, I feel like she's going to take it. The thing that I see, if she were to do it again, she goes back into a fight, I am excited for whoever she ends up facing, because I see it as it'll help build up that person. Can you imagine if that person actually wins over, Ronda Rousey, who's coming back to UFC? Because that alone is like big news, right? But then when you have someone who ends up facing her, right, and ends up, beating Ronda Rousey, like, that would be a huge win for that person.
So I'll tell you right now, Khaleel, are you in trouble? Are the cops coming for you? Or is that Raine?
Nah, I just live downtown LA, so it's always.
It's always like that.
Don't worry.
I'll tell you who Ronda Rousey is fighting. Ronda Rousey is going to be fighting Miesha Tate for their third fight. It's the perfect fight for both of them. They hate each other with a passion. It's a winnable fight for Ronda Rousey. I think Miesha Tate wins it, which would be my preference because I'm a Miesha Tate fan. But I think that's the fight. You bring Ronda Rousey back. She can't fight for the title because you can't just give her a title fight. You got to let her, get her feet wet. And I think Miesha Tate, that's the massive fight. That's the fight we've all wanted to see ever since they fought the first 2 times. So put them back in there, let them fight again. Khaleel, that's my pick for Ronda Rousey. Last thing we'll talk about very quickly. I apologize, guys. One last quick thing. When Mark Zuckerberg fights Elon Musk, another WWE guy has stepped in. Logan Paul says he is going to fight Patty the Batty for free on the undercard. Khaleel, this is a bunch of nonsense.
No. I think Jake's actually been trying to get into MMA. I've seen him training with Izzy.
No. Logan Paul.
Oh, Logan. I'm sorry. Yeah,
whatever.
Logan Paul.
He's
been
same.
training with Izzy. Yeah. He lost to Mayweather. The other one lost to the other guy, Tommy Fury. But he's been training his grappling, so he's been trying. And when you're an athlete, and you, like you said, with Rain said with Ronda, when you're in the WWE and you're not really competing, like you can't really talk shit. Like it's not authentic. You want something authentic. So it makes sense for him to want to test himself in the cage. But I do think that Patty the Batty is a bad boy. Like, even though he gets a lot of stuff, he's definitely overrated, but I think his grappling is really good. I think if he really wanted to, he'd probably beat the brakes off of Logan Paul. So,
yeah, I don't think that's the opponent. But, I mean, even if Logan Paul comes to fight at all on that card, it would be pretty amazing. Rain, are you a Logan Paul fan?
No.
Really? No?
Not really. I mean, I respect his ability, right? I'm always, I guess my take on this is I feel like there's other people who want that spot so bad, right? They've worked so hard their whole lives just to get that spot, right? And I'm not saying he's never done any work at all. I feel like he has too, but I feel like I would rather, for someone who wants this so bad, who's been very passionate about this, someone who has this dream to be inside a cage, to take that spot. Like, I don't want, I feel like the novelty fights, let's leave that in the wrestling world. Let's leave it there. In the MMA stage, MMA cage, I feel like, it's a professional setting, professional sport, professional athletes. I feel like we need to save those spots for people who really want to be in there, not because, they just want the spotlight. I feel like the spot should be given to people who've worked hard for, to have that spot in the cage.
Very well
that's
said.
That's my take on it. So.
Very well said. I feel like that's a mic drop statement. Only issue is, mind you, we're talking about the undercard of a fight between 2 multi-billionaires who have never fought a day in their life. You know what I mean? So, like, the whole thing is a circus. The whole thing is a circus. But that's what that is. All right, guys, I'm going to end the podcast here. I really appreciate it. I know I've kept you both much longer than I said I would, but I feel the conversation.
No, this was awesome.
That's perfect.
No, it's very, very cool. Khaleel, awesome. I'm going to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did Rain do as a co-host for my first time having her as a co-host? 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
I mean, you got to give her a 10. Her energy is unmatched. She's got the smile. She's got knowledge, not only in MMA, but WWE, like we've been talking. I feel like she made some great points as well. And, I fuck with her vibe.
All right. I like the judging. You didn't mention the Hello Kitty in the background. The Hello Kitty, though, obviously plays a factor. Can't
okay. I didn't even see that.
All right. So maybe an 11 then? An 11? All right. Yeah. And Rain, Khaleel
she's got dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have dogs. Yeah. They're outside though. Now, because if not, they're gonna be scratching the door to come in here.
Rain, Khaleel as a guest. This is your first time interviewing him on the Fight Insight podcast. As a guest, how would you rate Mr. Khaleel Pearson?
Oh, 11.
11. Even with no Hello Kitty?
Come on, last minute, I remember when you told me what's happening today, and I was like, well, I know someone. I feel like he's gonna be good, and I sent you his profile, and then you're like, oh, he's ready. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Khaleel, think about, we talk about like being a good person and being in sports and stuff like that. Just think, I want you to think about the impact you made on Raine Cruz that to the point that like you meet her at that UNF event, right? She sees you there fighting. She talks to you a little bit. The first chance she has to say, hey, Tim, would you like some input? Would you like me to suggest someone? The first name is Khaleel Pearson. So I want you to know.
First and only, by the way. First and only suggestion.
That's love. That was going to be my question in the DMs, though. I was going to ask you later, but that is love.
Yeah,
that is love. I appreciate you so much, Raine. Like you said, I feel like we locked in when we're in the cage, and I can't wait to get you that dub.
Yeah, There you go. Yeah, you guys, I can't wait to see both of you in action in the future. You guys are both amazing. I'd love to have you back, Khaleel, one day. If you'd like to keep doing this, I'd love to have you back.
Love to.
Raine, of course, I'm having you back. It's a no-brainer. You can't even say no. It's too bad. I do also want to say, friends of the podcast update. Normally I do this at the middle of the podcast. I apologize. Chelsea Chandler from Stockton, California. She's a huge favorite of mine, former guest of the podcast. Chelsea Chandler is finally back fighting at featherweight this weekend as well. So bet all your money on her. Nice. She's going to Stockton slap the hell out of her opponent. I love Chelsea Chandler. She's there. And then I want to give a shout out to Rageworks Podcast Network. We're on that network. That's out of New York. So that's a New York podcast. You can go find a bunch of podcasts there as well as ours. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to end the show for our audio listeners. That's it. For our people here watching us on video, you'll see some videos that you can click. But thank you very much, guys. I've had a wonderful time with both of you. You guys are both amazing. Thank you for making this podcast great.
Thank you for having us.
Have a good one, guys. See you later. See you, Khaleel. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you, brother.